What you're about to hear is one of those stories that sounds almost impossible, but it happened. It was photographed, it went viral, and now it has created a diplomatic headache that goes far beyond one soldier with a sledgehammer. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't just a story about one bad actor in a uniform. This is a window into something much bigger. Because behind this image is a ceasefire that is barely holding, thousands of troops still occupying villages, a million people trying to go home, and now the possibility of the first real peace talks between Israel and Lebanon in over 75 years. So stay with me, because this story has layers most people are missing. Quick background for anyone who needs it. For the past several weeks, Israel has been conducting military operations in southern Lebanon targeting Hezbollah, the powerful Shia Muslim armed group that operates there. Israel sees Hezbollah as a direct threat, backed by Iran, sitting right on its northern border. A ceasefire was agreed just last week. Hezbollah said it would stick to it. Yeah, Iran actually got credit for helping push that deal through. The guns went quiet, at least officially. But here's the thing. Israel did not pull its troops out. Thousands of Israeli soldiers are still physically on the ground in southern Lebanon right now, occupying villages, including villages that have nothing to do with Hezbollah, including Christian villages. And that is exactly where today's story begins. In a small Maronite Christian village in southern Lebanon called Dabul, there was a family's private shrine at the edge of their land. A crucifix with a statue of Jesus, the kind of thing you'd find outside a Christian home across Lebanon, completely ordinary, completely sacred to that family. An Israeli soldier was photographed holding what appears to be a sledgehammer or an axe, raised over the face of that Jesus statue, which had been knocked off the crucifix. The photo spread across social media within hours. Now, it's still not completely clear exactly how much physical damage was done to the statue, but the symbolic damage? That was instant, and it was enormous. The local priest told the BBC it was a desecration. His word, desecration. And for the Christian community in southern Lebanon, already living under military occupation, already scared, already watching their villages being searched and demolished, this image landed like a punch to the stomach. The response from Israel came fast, and that speed tells you everything about how seriously they took the political damage. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted in English on X, not Hebrew, English, because he knew exactly who this message needed to reach. He said he regrets any hurt caused to Christian believers in Lebanon and around the world. He condemned the soldiers' actions directly. Israel's Foreign Minister Gideon Saar went further and issued a formal apology to every Christian who had been hurt by this. The Israeli military confirmed the soldier was serving in southern Lebanon, said they are investigating, and also said they will help the Christian community repair the statue. Now think about that for a second. The Israeli military, in the middle of an active occupation, publicly committing to repair a Christian statue they damaged. That is not a normal military statement. That tells you how much pressure was on them to respond and respond quickly. But here's a question worth asking. Why did this soldier do it in the first place? Was this a one-off act of individual stupidity? Or does it reflect something about the environment and culture among troops on the ground? That is a question Israeli military leadership is going to have to answer. And the international community is watching very closely. Now let's zoom out, because this statue story, as shocking as it is actually just one thread in a much bigger and more complicated situation. The ceasefire is holding, technically, but it is shaky. Israel has told its army to use full force against what it calls imminent threats in southern Lebanon. 5 Israeli army divisions. We are talking thousands of troops are still on the ground and have not moved. Israel has warned residents in southern Lebanon not to return to dozens of villages near the border, despite the ceasefire being in effect. Read that again. There is a ceasefire. And Israel is telling civilians they cannot go home yet. About 1 million people were displaced during the fighting. They want to go back. Roads and bridges are being slowly repaired. But the Israeli military is still there, still in their villages, still demolishing houses it says were used by Hezbollah. Hezbollah, for its part, says it is cooperating fully. But with every incident, a UN peacekeeper killed, Israeli soldiers killed, a statue attacked, the ceasefire gets tested a little more. Now here is the part of the story that most people are sleeping on because it genuinely could be a big deal. The White House has announced it is ready to host the leaders of Israel and Lebanon for formal peace talks. Let me put that in context. Israel and Lebanon have technically been in a state of war since 1948, since the very moment Israel was created. That is over 75 years of official war status between these two countries, with no formal peace agreement ever signed. And now both sides are signaling they're willing to talk. Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun has confirmed a Lebanese delegation will attend. It will be led by a former Lebanese ambassador to the United States. Lebanon's goals going into those talks are clear, and the Israeli military occupation of Lebanese territory, and get the Lebanese army deployed all the way up to the border. Israel's goals are also clear: full disarmament of Hezbollah and a final agreement on where exactly the border between the two countries lies, which has been disputed for decades. These two sets of goals are very far apart, but the fact that both sides are even willing to sit in the same room, that has not happened in a very long time. So where does all of this go from here? Scenario 1, the ceasefire holds and talks make progress. If the statue incident gets handled properly, if Israel gradually pulls back from villages, and if both sides show up to the White House talks in good faith, there is a real path towards something meaningful. Not a full peace deal immediately, but a framework, a starting point. After 75 years of war status, even a framework would be historic. The sign pointing toward this? Both sides have already said they will send delegations. That is not nothing. Scenario 2, the ceasefire collapses. One more incident like the statue, or worse, a military one, could give either side a reason to walk away. Israel has already said it will use full force if it perceives threats. Hezbollah has fighters on the ground and weapons it has not given up. All it takes is one bad night. The sign pointing toward this? Thousands of Israeli troops are still in Lebanese villages. Residents are being told they cannot go home. That kind of tension does not stay manageable forever. Scenario 3, the most likely one, slow, grinding uncertainty. The ceasefire survives barely. Incidents keep happening. Israel stays in southern Lebanon longer than anyone expected. Talks begin, but move slowly with huge gaps between what each side wants. The statue becomes a symbol that gets referenced every time trust breaks down. Progress is possible, but it will be slow, messy, and fragile every single step of the way. One photo of one soldier with a sledgehammer. That is what cracked the story open today. But underneath, it is a ceasefire under pressure. A million people who cannot go home, and the first real possibility of peace talks between Israel and Lebanon in 3/4 of a century. This region does not move in straight lines. It moves in shocks, moments that force decisions nobody was ready to make. That statue image was one of those moments. Whether it leads to accountability, to more tension, or somehow becomes part of a bigger conversation about what kind of peace is even possible here, that is what we are watching now. I'll keep following every development. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss what comes next, because in this part of the world, things move fast. See you in the next one. Let me know when you have the next script.